said, in today's video, I want to get right into the build quality in late 2019 on the Tesla Model 3s. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button because I've got a lot of new videos coming comparing top accessories for Teslas and things that I wish I knew before taking delivery of my Tesla Model 3. I picked up my Tesla Model 3 about 1 week ago, and I spent this first week taking pictures and documenting everything as I found them. There are quite a few issues. They're nothing that's really a deal breaker, but I want you guys to know everything that was wrong with my car when I picked it up at delivery. So the very first thing I want to do is go over which vehicle is actually in review here, and that is the 2019 long-range all-wheel drive Tesla Model 3 Stealth Performance. Now, if you're not familiar with what the Stealth package is, essentially what it is what I think is the sweet spot, and it's the long-range all-wheel drive Tesla Model 3 but with the performance speed. So what that means is you get all the speed of the performance, but you just don't get the 20-inch upgraded wheels, you don't get the upgraded brakes, you don't get the carbon fiber lip on the back, and you don't get those shiny little pedals. With that said, it saves you a ton of money and you still get the same performance. So the spec that I got is the pearl white exterior, which at the time of making this video is included, so you don't have to pay extra for that. I have the black interior and it comes with 19-inch sport wheels. And to make sure that we have a proper timestamp on this, I picked this up in late September of 2019. So with that said, let's get right into the build quality of this vehicle so you guys know everything about it. The very first question and the answer I want to get right off the bat is, are there still issues with build quality in late 2019 on the Tesla Model 3s? The short answer is yes, but none of them are deal breakers. On September 17th, I went into my local showroom and that's where I placed my $2,500 deposit on the Tesla Model 3 Stealth Performance. This experience was absolutely amazing and they were so helpful in there. The very next day, on September 18th, I got a text message to my phone saying that my vehicle was in transit to the local delivery center and I could schedule my pickup appointment. So at this point, everything was going perfectly and I was excited to pick up the car until the day before, on September 24th, I got a call saying that they were prepping the car and found out that the driver's side speaker was not working properly. So they said this might just be an easy fix and they got right on starting to fix it. They just pushed my appointment back by a couple hours on the 25th, but on the end of the day on the 24th, they said that they were working on it and they needed to order some parts and it wasn't going to be ready until the 28th. No problem at all. We rescheduled to September 28th and that's when I actually went up and took delivery of the vehicle and the speaker was fixed and all was well. However, there were some pretty notable things that were wrong with the build quality of the vehicle, and that's what I want to put in this video. So the very first thing to note is when you go to pick up your vehicle at the Tesla delivery center, you kind of do all the paperwork before you even inspect the vehicle or really see it. You get an interior orientation of how to set up the vehicle properly, but you never really do a very fine look at the outside of the vehicle to make sure nothing's wrong. So right after the orientation of the inside of the vehicle, we basically were good to go and they just said have a safe trip back. But that's when we took a second to kind of look over the vehicle, and that's when we started to find the exterior issues. Now, none of these were really deal breakers, but I just want to be very clear on what was on my vehicle at delivery so you guys know as well. So the very first thing that we noticed walking around the exterior of the vehicle while we were still at the delivery center was the paint. So on the front bumper, there was a paint scratch that was pretty deep, and then another pretty big scrape that was down the front corner of the front bumper. So we just walked back inside and said, hey, what's kind of the process on this? What are we supposed to do at this point? And they said, oh, no problem. We didn't see that. So we can touch it up with paint and buff it out and it should be good to go. So they took the vehicle around to the back and we waited about 10-15 minutes. They brought it back up and it was touched up and it was buffed, but it was still pretty much there. So at this point, a week later, this is still on the front of the vehicle and it's not really something that's noticeable to someone walking by the car, but me buying the car and knowing that it's on there, I'm always going to see this. Now that was the only thing that we really noticed while we were still at the delivery center, so the rest looked pretty good, so we just took off from there and found a couple more things by the time we got home. So staying on the exterior of the vehicle, there were a couple more blemishes that we found when we got home, and that was a scrape in the paint that was just inside the driver door, kind of where you're walking in. Just above the driver's side door is some dust under the paint, so it has a little bump right there. Again, not very noticeable, but just something I want you guys to be aware of. And then the last thing is there's minor scrapes in the paint on the trunk lid. So as far as paint goes, that is everything on the exterior of the vehicle. The only really other things to note as far as exterior issues upon closer inspection are panel gaps and alignments kind of throughout the car. The main places for this are the doors. They don't exactly line up perfectly, but that's all right. It's not a real deal breaker. You're not going to lose sleep over this. One of the brake lights is a little bit off, which shouldn't really have a hard edge, but it does. One of them's perfect. The other one's slightly off by probably 1/8 of an inch. And then the last thing, which is very common, is the roof glass panel, the main one on the top, is slightly off center. Again, all of these things are very minor things, and you're not going to notice it unless you're the owner and you looked all of these things over very closely and then you know about them. None of these things on the exterior anyone has ever noticed from looking at the car, but I just wanted to point them out. So now let's move into the interior issues. This is where it gets a little bit more fun. Again, none of these are deal breakers, but I just wanted to show this to you because it is not what I expected. So the absolute very first thing that caught our eye was the front cabin's cleanliness. The panels up top and kind of the fabric, I'm assuming this was because they were fixing the speakers, and I don't think they would be coming out of the factory this dirty. So I'm just going to chalk this up to they had to fix the speakers, so it probably got a little bit dirty there, and they kind of forgot to clean it upon delivery. With that said, using the right cleaner, it took maybe 5 to 10 minutes to get all of this dirt off and bring it back to looking brand new. There's a really good cleaner for Tesla interiors. This is for the fabric and for the seats, everywhere interior. I'll link that up in the description, but I highly recommend it. It is a little bit expensive. It's like $17 per bottle, but it's worth every penny. So the second interior issue that we noticed upon closer inspection was the interior kind of door jamb of the passenger side door. It looks like the plastic panel was not pressed in properly, or maybe it was taken off for some reason. So there is kind of a noticeable gap here. All you have to do is kind of push it in every once in a while and it stays there for a bit. But you really shouldn't have this kind of gap in your vehicle showing electrical. I don't like that, but it's not a huge deal breaker. We'll see where this goes if it's something that can be pressed in and just kind of fixed like that, but I wanted you guys to know that this was here. Okay, the third interior issue was the glove box plastic. Underneath the glove box was completely bent on one of the corners. Now I've tried pushing this back up. There's no clips for it to clip into. I think it was just bent upon installation, or someone might have hit it while they were fixing something. So it is slightly bent, and I don't think it should arrive like that. So the fourth interior issue we found is the driver's side door window seal. It looks like it's not pressed all the way in the top evenly. It's kind of hanging down a little bit. Again, this doesn't have an issue. It doesn't affect rain getting in or anything, but it's just not very good to look at. Same with this. I've tried pressing it up there and it just falls right back down. So we'll see what happens with this. And then the last interior issue, this is a very minor one and it's to be expected on vehicles, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew about it. The center console is slightly off center. So the little plastic piece in there is closer to one side than it is the other. If you're really looking at it when it's closed, you can tell that one side on the gap is a lot bigger than the other, but this is not a deal breaker, nothing you're gonna lose sleep over. Just wanted you guys to know about it. Okay, so now for a bonus issue. This is in the interior of the car. This is the last thing. I found this yesterday and I did not see this coming at all, but I found a piece of plastic. It's some kind of part that was going back and forth in the headliner every time I would make a turn. So I didn't think I would be able to find out what this was, but I just kind of reached into the headliner and found this piece of plastic just hanging out there. So I pulled it right out, and there's some kind of part that was just going back and forth in the headliner. I shot an email out to Tesla and I said, is this something I should be concerned about? Do I need to come into a service center to get this looked at? And I haven't gotten a response back yet, so we will see if this part is important or not. I have a feeling it's not, and it probably had to do with that speaker being fixed, but I did not expect to find that in the headliner, nor did I expect to be able to reach in there and just pull it right out. So all in all, my conclusion of this is yes, there are small minor issues in the build quality. However, if you're buying a Tesla or Tesla Model 3, whatever Tesla it is, you're not buying it for the perfect build quality. If you want that, you can go get a Rolls-Royce or a Bentley. What you're buying in a Tesla is something that's going to put a smile on your face. I cannot put the feeling of what this car does compared to anything else, probably besides when you got your first car as a kid. Everything about it is so different for a car. You're not used to having what you have in a Tesla in any other cars. The music is amazing. The response of the car and the throttle is amazing. It drives so smooth. All the major reasons on why you're buying a Tesla, they are all there 100%. It's these small little minor things that the panels don't line up, they're off by 1/8 of an inch. Those are small things that you're not gonna lose any sleep over. What you get in a Tesla, whether it's built exactly perfectly or slightly off on the door panels, you are going to love it. So guys, that is my build quality review of my Tesla Model 3 Stealth Performance in late 2019. I hope this has brought value to you and you learned a couple things to look for when taking delivery of your Tesla Model 3. If you have any questions at all, let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, I really appreciate the thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe because there are a lot of new Tesla videos coming soon.